Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as a thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, it's great to be back. I had to take an international travel starting last week around Thursday. I had to visit some family members, but I'm officially back. And boy, while I was away, talk about volatility that we've been seeing in the market. It's pretty bloody out there, not just for crypto, but even the stock market. And I want to go through what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing from the data perspective. I have to leave my emotions at the door and we're going to walk through what is happening here. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to start off with the daily chart. Right now, Bitcoin just over $92,000. It is trading below the 200-day moving average, and that's the bull market line in the sand. So if we want this bull market to continue, it needs to get back above there. I've often stated if Bitcoin is in a downtrend below that 200-day moving average, and I mean an extended downtrend, it's over. It's bear market, right? So right now, not looking good. We're seeing a lot of bearish signals. A lot of these signals that were holding up for weeks and even months, showing that the higher probability was on the bull side, are starting to break down. So I want to share what the data says, and then I'll tell you what my personal strategy is. So on the weekly, Bitcoin is very oversold, the RSI that is. So we could see bounces coming very soon. What we are looking for, though, we need very strong bounces. And it's not going to be a straight line up, as I always say. We're going to work our way out of the hole, but it's something we're going to have to monitor because it could just be a simple retrace, right? Or even another fake out when people think, oh, that's it, we're done. But it's where we're going to have to closely monitor over weeks and possibly months. I don't know how long it will take to get out of this. Now, on the weekly chart, it's even worse here, where bears are in full control, and we're, of course, below that 200-day moving average. But the Bitcoin RSI on the weekly is headed to the oversold zone. On the monthly, this is the one that has me concerned, folks, because we've been talking about the monthly chart, the higher time frame, showing bulls were in full control despite all the volatility, the tariff crash earlier this year, and much more. Bulls still maintain control. But right now, we are seeing a very small red candle forming on the MACD on the monthly. So this is the one that has me concerned, folks, because this is the macro. And the month of November is not completed, of course. There could be some catalyst that reverses this. But my goodness, this right here, it's dancing on the line, right, folks? And one of the things I had called out, this bull market cycle has not shown us the retail euphoria into a parabolic move. We have not seen parabolic moves. We've seen mini parabolic moves, but not the blow off top types, right? Where you have retail flooding in, the app rankings for Coinbase is jumping, Google Trends is surging, and the RSI in the monthly is overbought, right? It's super heated. We're not seeing that at all. So this time is a bit different. However, one of the things I've been saying is the tariff situation from Trump was the major curveball that changed a lot of what's happening in this market. You add in the government shutdown with liquidity drying up a bit, and we find ourselves in the place we're at right now. Even Trump, with his meme coin and all these things and the meme coin mania, it kind of sucked a lot of liquidity from the other coins, right? I don't think that could be argued. That's a legit thing. Now, am I happy Trump is pro crypto? Of course. I'm not saying I want to be under what Biden and Gensler and Elizabeth Warren were doing before. Please, that was brutal. But at the end of the day, markets are driven by liquidity. So if Trump is pro crypto, but he's doing things such as tariff and whatever else, and those things are going to affect the markets. So it's a double-edged sword we're dealing with, and unfortunately, it's not something we can control, right? So this is where we find ourselves, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the monthly reverses, folks. There's some catalyst that pops up, whether it be the Fed, with QE and much more. I don't know. And here's an example. There is something that is on the horizon here, and that is the Japanese yen carry trade. We're seeing another situation here with that. If you recall, last summer in late August, we had a big market crash as a result of that. And then, Janet Yellen and these folks stepped in with liquidity injections. But here, Jeff Park highlighted Japan's 30-year bond yield has never been higher in history than it is now. The global carry machine is on life support. So here's the impact. Let me give you some details from one user. Japan's 30-year yield hitting all-time high means the last anchor of global cheap money is breaking. The yen carry trade, a core liquidity engine for hedge funds, real estate, PE, and sovereign flows, becomes more expensive. When JGBs move like this, global funding costs jump, liquidity tightens, and the entire macro regime shifts or breaks. So, is this a catalyst? Is something going to break this week or next week or whatever? And then the Fed and these folks have to step in some certain way, and markets just need to signal that they're heading into quantitative easing, and then they're going to rip, right? That could be the scenario. I think that's a realistic scenario, but is it 100% guaranteed? Of course not. So let's see what happens. But right now, things not looking good. So the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is in the extreme fear zone. Everybody, for the most part, believes we are in a bear market. So the herd, overall, the herd thinks we are in a bear market. That is one thing that is on the bull side, that if the herd believes that, then there's some sort of reversal coming soon. Whether that reversal is a retracement, like I said before, or a continuation of the bull market, we're going to have to wait and see. I can't sit here and tell you guys with 100% confidence that I believe this bull market will continue. I can't say that because of the data, not my emotions, not because my portfolio is down, but the data. That Bitcoin monthly chart is a big red flag. The other thing I've been sharing with you guys is the Bitcoin whales. And we've been monitoring this. I shared this in my recent newsletter where on-chain data shows Bitcoin whales with wallets containing 10 or more Bitcoin. It is on the decline. Now, it's not falling off a cliff like we saw in Q2 of 2024 with the Bitcoin buy the rumor, sell the news event with the ETF launch. You had huge drops, right? It is in a slow decline. So I want to keep monitoring this, just like I want to keep monitoring that Bitcoin monthly chart to see, do we reverse or start to plateau or something like that? Because that would be very positive for the bullish scenario. So this is not a good sign. From the ETF front, if you look at BlackRock's IBIT Bitcoin ETF, they are selling Bitcoin. Essentially their clients are taking profit, but that is also not on a steep decline. It's not falling off a cliff. It is in a slow decline here. They still hold 790,000 Bitcoin. And when it comes to the stock market, S&P 500 also in a decline right now. NASDAQ also in a decline right now. Dow Jones in free fall. So this is where we're going to have to keep monitoring things. The VIX is starting to spike here. This is giving me deja vu as to what happened in last year with the Japanese yen carry trade situation. So again, could something break here? And then it forces these central banks to step in and do some massive liquidity push that drives the market into the final phase. And, one of the things I've been saying is that this bull market will extend into 2026. So if the bull market continues here, I think that there's still a high probability of that because of the rate cuts. And when you think about rates being cut, people are going to start to move more risk on, right? Because they're not going to get the same interest on cash and so forth and those type of products. They're not going to get the same level of interest payments on those type of products, right? You got rate cuts and then the Fed ending QT December 1st, and we know what comes after QE, but I think they usually need a catalyst to do it. Something has to break. So this is where I'm not hoping for something to break. I'm just saying that this is a scenario that could happen, right? Now, something that's positive for us, for the bulls, is that Jim Cramer has turned full bearish. He says, what a miserable close. Holy cow, right? So talking about the markets, he said the stock market is miserable. So that's good for us, right? He's putting out the narrative to the mainstream there that things are bad. It's miserable. Again, this is good if the herd is all feeling the top is in, it's over, that's it. AI, the bubble has popped, crypto is done, Bitcoin's dead. How many times have we seen this? I've been here since 2016, so I've seen these different situations. Now, I want to share what Julian Patel, who works with Raoul Pal, macro investor Raoul Pal, some his different charts. They believe that based on different data points like global liquidity, the business cycle, and the patterns throughout this bull market, they're repeating again, and that the bull market's not over. Now, is that a guarantee? Of course not, right? So this is where I'm in a pattern of like, I want to hold on and see what's happening here. Now, some people have been posting that they're taking profits, they're exiting the market. Thankfully, I'm not in a position where I need the cash right now. Obviously, I want to make money. You guys know that, right? I have plans, but I don't personally want to liquidate my assets. Some people are going to call me an idiot for that, but that's fine. There are coins that I've held since like 2017-ish, 2018-ish that are up right now in my portfolio. So I'm okay, thankfully. I don't need to liquidate that, but if you do, you have to, right? If you have an emergency or you're looking to buy a house, whatever it is, then you want to do what you got to do. But personally, I'm not liquidating any of my portfolio because I still believe there are some bullish catalysts here and there from a macro perspective, despite certain things on the chart screaming, hey, warning, 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 right? And I'm sharing that with you. I'm not covering it up. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm just sharing my perspective. You don't have to do what I'm doing, not financial advice and all that, right? So I'm just pointing you to the data. I still believe from the macro that there's still more to this cycle, and that it's going to continue into 2026. They're going to be people who say, Tony, you're crazy. You're wrong. The top is in. That's fine. Everybody make their own decisions. I'm going to point you to the data. I just gave you the good and the bad, right? So let's see what happens here, folks. If this Japanese yen carry trade situation happens again, it feels like deja vu compared to what happened last year. And we're going to have to wait and see. USDT dominance is climbing. It's not collapsing. The dollar, the DXY, that has been finding strength, and we know there's an inverse correlation. When that is going up, assets are going down. When that is going down, assets are going up. So again, there's a huge patience game here and a lot of uncertainty. And this is the part of investing that can be rough. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a time machine. So I'm here with you, and I'm looking at different factors. But again, I think there's more of a bull case here still. But the bull case is getting smaller and smaller, right? I'm going to be honest with you. It's getting smaller and smaller. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin dominance, that is breaking down a bit, but not significantly, where I think we may see alts going bananas. So let's see how that pans out. But this is a positive sign for the bulls as well, that alts could start picking up some steam. Then the liquidity rotates back to Bitcoin. This kind of feels like a major bull market reset. And it's not even that Bitcoin's down that much. I've seen 30 something percent, near 40% in different bull markets, especially like 2017. But the macro environment, I think, is what has a lot of people concerned. And we're not seeing retail show up, right? And the signals of recession and all these things. And then the delays, right? We've been really hit hard with this tariff situation. I think everybody, if you're in stocks, you're in real estate, whatever, that tariff situation has been a major headwind and a major thorn in our asses, right? It's just been tough, man. So let's see, guys. Let's see. This is a new one, and look, every bull market brings its different flavors and challenges and so forth. So in 2021, it was a double peak. And then for XRP holders, I know specifically you had the SEC lawsuit. Back in 2017, you had that straight up parabolic run up and then a blow off top and massive retail coming in. There was also a double peak in 2013, 2014, right? And between those peaks, it was pretty extended. So I think Bitcoin it's still young. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to change over time. I do believe this is all still driven by liquidity. So that's why I'm macro bullish. As long as central banks keep printing, I'm going to continue to hold assets. And, one of the things I said is the Fed continues to cut rates, you're going to see more capital flow out of those interest bearing products because you're not going to get the same level of returns and it's going to go into assets for greater return. So, folks, that's the state of the union of where I'm seeing things. And I'm very much in a holding pattern, watching this closely to see what is that major catalyst. And if is it from the Fed? I don't know. Is it the market simply bounces off of, it's the market's so one-sided right now. Everybody believes we're in a bear market and it's over and we're going to continue to see lows that, it has to reverse because we've seen in even in 2022, there were retraces, right? There were moves to the upside because the market moves in cyclical patterns, right? When there's extreme fear, expect a move to the opposite. When there's extreme bullishness and greed, expect a move to the opposite. So this is where we're at, folks. I know this is tough. I know it's hard to hear, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I know we as human beings, we want certainty, we want the concrete statements, but it is pretty rough out there. And it's not just crypto, it's for stocks as well. Now, this is pretty crazy. I didn't expect this from Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano. Let me play a clip of what he had to say.
Everybody entered, myself included, 2025 thinking that the Trump administration was going to be this magic net positive for the ecosystem, because he's literally, the U.S. government has become a bag holder. It's like that's the biggest economy in the world, and it's gone from trying to kill crypto to embracing crypto.
So Charles is essentially saying, Trump's exuberance and all that. I think he doesn't want to say meme coin and all these things. And plus the tariff stuff, he doesn't want to, give details, but he put it in a very politically friendly way that, around Trump and in the administration, while initially very good for crypto, some of their activities have created headwinds. And that's what I was saying. The tariff situation, man, not even so much the meme coin, which I'm not a fan of, but the tariff situation has been rough for markets and especially crypto. So I don't know if you guys agree with Charles, but you can leave your comments below and let me know what you think. Now, folks, this episode is brought to you by Propy. Propy is leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. Folks, we know they're going to tokenize all the asset classes, gold, stocks, equities, and much more. And of course, the world's largest asset class, which is real estate, will be on the blockchain. The process of buying and selling a home will all be blockchain powered, and Propy allows you to do that. Their platform allows you to sell real estate with crypto. So if you want to sell your house for Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can certainly do that. And they've been putting deeds and titles and all these things on chain. They have their own blockchain, of course. And billionaire investor Tim Draper is an investor in this project. He's a very bullish on it. And they use Coinbase for the crypto escrow service. And I've been a Propy token holder since 2018. I discovered this project and I realized, wait a minute, they are going to disrupt this industry and this market with blockchain. I'm going to make sure I take a stake here for the long term because I think all of this is going to be running on the blockchain. So Propy doing amazing things ahead of the curve. And folks, they are licensed. They've done 5 billion plus in deals, and they've been around since 2017. So if you'd like to learn more about Propy, go to propy.com. Link will be in the description. Now, we have an update here from Senator Tim Scott about the market structure bill. And, along the lines of what I've been telling you guys, that this bull market could certainly extend into Q1 2026. Senator Tim Scott on the banking side of the market structure revealed a timeline today. He said markups and votes in both the banking and agriculture committees next month, so December, with legislation expected on the Senate floor early next year. So one of the things I've been highlighting is that this market structure bill is a major landmark moment, and I don't believe the market makers would let that pass. I don't think that just doesn't line up. From the things I've known from working at a crypto exchange and being in this market, look, I could be wrong, but I think many of you logically could see that this could be a major catalyst to bring in retail FOMO. In addition to Trump saying, I'm going to give you $2,000, give people $2,000 dividend checks and all that stuff. The Fed cutting rates, going to QE, and just these different factors coupled together could be very good for the markets. But again, we have to wait and see. Some very big news that came out today from the OCC. They say banks can hold crypto to pay blockchain network fees. So this is huge, man. Here's the official statement from the OCC. OCC confirms bank authority to hold certain crypto assets as principal for purposes of paying crypto asset network fees. So huge green light here, which will allow all the major banks in the United States to participate. We already see many of them are launching crypto custody, stable coins, crypto trading, right? They're tokenizing as well. JP Morgan just the other day, they tokenized their JPMD deposit token on Base, which is Coinbase's Ethereum layer 2. So the on and off ramps being set up here with participants growing beyond just certain Wall Street firms, but to the major banks now. So this is incredibly bullish news. Now, this is pretty big. New Hampshire launches the first Bitcoin-backed municipal bond. A $100 million Bitcoin conduit bond could pave the way for digital assets to enter the $140 trillion global debt market. Dennis Porter, who has been working with a lot of these states, said New Hampshire was the first to pass the strategic Bitcoin reserve into law. And now they are the first to create a Bit bond. Wow, this is incredible adoption news, right? And as we've seen, even with the strategic Bitcoin reserve, one state makes the move, then game theory plays out, the others are going to follow suit. So this is pretty big. And final news item, we got some bullish news around Ondo. I do hold Ondo in my portfolio. So Ondo receives EU approval to offer tokenized stocks and ETFs across Europe. This approval expands the reach of Ondo's tokenized stocks and ETFs to over 500 million investors across the EU and EEA. The base prospectus governing the issuance of tokenized stocks and ETFs was approved by the Liechtenstein Financial Market Authority, a recognized European regulator with passporting rights across the EU and EEA. So big news here for Ondo. Like we were talking about earlier with Proppy and tokenizing real estate, they're tokenizing stocks. It's going to open up these products to the world, because into global markets, because they're going to be able to trade 24/7, fractionalize, settle instantly. You guys know all the benefits and principles of the blockchain. So huge news for Ondo here. Once again, I am a token holder and I am bullish on this project. I recently actually interviewed the founder, Nathan Allman, at Chainlink SmartCon. So that interview should be published sometime this week. And we talked a lot about their plans and so forth. So folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. It is good to be back, and I'll be bringing you guys, of course, all the big updates as we continue to navigate the volatility. I know it's tough. But hang in there, right? This is where patience and emotional control is important in investing, because we don't want to get emotional. We don't want to get too bearish. We don't want to get too bullish. We want to navigate the waters here, looking at the data as our North Star, right? So, obviously, like I said earlier, if you feel like taking profits and, this is something you need to do to use the money to whatever you need to do, right, for your life, you got to do what you got to do. I'm personally not selling right now. I still believe there's a bullish catalyst, and I'm not in a position where, I absolutely need the money. So I have to panic sell or something like that. I'm not in that situation. So I do want the prices to go higher, as I'm sure many of you do. So I'm hoping we see a reversal, and that this is just another local top. And we continue to the true blow off top, which I think would most likely happen late Q1 2026. But let's see how it plays out. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Folks, be sure to support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter on Substack. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you everything you need to know about crypto. It features videos, text write-ups, downloadable materials, and much more, with expert commentary from the people I've interviewed. So it's all curated and set up there. You can review the curriculum and much more. You get lifetime access. And once again, visit mycryptocourse.com to learn more. Folks, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.